It was 5:30 in the morning. Silent streets, closed shops, and just a few cars passing by. Suddenly, cameras captured two motorcycles and a car entering the avenue. At first, nothing unusual, until the scene quickly turned into an attempted robbery. The victim, a motorcyclist, was forced to stop. What the suspects didn't know was that their target wasn't just anyone, but an off-duty police officer on his way to work. Reacting immediately, the officer foiled the crime. One of the assailants abandoned the motorcycle and fell on the sidewalk, while the other fled at high speed. The officer was unharmed, but the suspect did not survive and was confirmed dead at the scene.
Security cameras captured an attempted robbery that ended in an unexpected way. What the suspects didn't know was that their target was a retired military police officer. It was around 5 in the morning when the man, busy at the trunk of his car, was suddenly surrounded by 6 assailants, 2 on a motorcycle and others in a car giving support. The attackers moved in, but as the officer noticed the danger, he tried to react. Before he could, he was shot. Even wounded on the ground, he didn't give up. He fired back, forcing the group to flee in panic. One of the suspects attempted to escape on the motorcycle, but was hit and fell onto the pavement. The officer received medical attention and is in stable condition, while the injured suspect did not survive. Authorities emphasize that in robbery situations, the recommendation is not to react. However, in this case, the officer's response completely changed the outcome.
Security cameras captured the moment 3 motorcycles appear on the scene. On one of them, 2 suspects approach and knock down the victim's bike while announcing a robbery. But the target wasn't just anyone. It was an off-duty police officer on his way to work. Acting quickly, he takes cover and responds, drawing his weapon and firing at the attackers. The footage shows the suspects trying to escape. One of them is hit and falls to the ground, while the others run away without looking back. Another motorcyclist, who had nothing to do with the crime, appears and confirms he could have also been targeted. Moments later, backup arrives and the situation is brought under control. Final outcome: attempted robbery stopped, officer unharmed, and the injured suspect taken to the hospital under police custody.
The footage shows a private parking lot almost completely full. A black car enters the area, standing out in the crowded space. Soon after, a parking attendant appears. He approaches the driver, making gestures and giving directions, suggesting some familiarity between them. The driver waits as the employee points to possible spots. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. From the right side of the screen, a man wearing a helmet appears. Without hesitation, he points a gun at the attendant and forces him to lie on the ground. Next, the target becomes the driver. With no options, he is forced to hand over his watch, chain, and other belongings. Just as the suspect prepares to escape, a surprise occurs. The driver is not just another victim, but a police officer. Within seconds, the officer reacts, draws his weapon, and opens fire. The suspect runs in desperation, while the officer chases after him, firing again. Outside, other accomplices were waiting. In moments, the group flees with part of the stolen items. A bold action that nearly ended in tragedy. This episode shows how the officer's swift response prevented the situation from having far more serious consequences.